Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. Today I think we're going to talk again about a setup position that I see very consistently wrong and a big problem for Sergites. And I think if we can clear this up and everybody gets in a better setup position, you'll hit better golf shots, because as you know, the setup determines the motion. We have two major positions. One of them I call the master setup position, which involves the arms and the shoulders. And then we have preloaded heavy right. Preloaded heavy right is getting that position where we're behind the ball. The big thing to know about the peak performance golf swing is that when we come into impact, we're basically tilted a little bit behind the ball, and so that gives us the room for arms to straighten out at impact. Just like you see baseball players when they're hitting any kind of ball and stretching their arms out, especially if they're trying to hit it straight to a little bit of a pull, whether they're right-handed or left-handed. But the key today is that most golfers are actually playing golf somewhat at or in front of the ball, because of when they're making the big turns and in the rotational swings, and they pull out and they have to clear their body, the lower body, real quick by their hips, their legs and hips really turning hard, which eventually pulls their shoulders. Anytime you move left, you're ahead of the ball. And so consequently, you're coming into the ball, and most of them come in where they're straightening up and locking the right arm down, but the left arm is never locked down. And when they come through, they have tremendous angle here in their right wrist. They're trying to hold that angle, so the hands are coming through, and it's almost like they're pushing the ball through. Well, our both arms are going to straighten out, both of them, and basically the wrist will be straight at impact, relatively straight and extended at impact also. That's maximum extension, where the muscles right there longest. And as Dr. Armstrong once told me, power comes from your muscles at their optimum length to produce work, which is the natural full extension of them, without in just naturally extended, not trying to overstretch it or getting any of the joints hyperextended. So we get into that natural extended position, and the preloaded heavy right allows that. So we're starting behind the ball. We'll be behind the ball till impact, and because we're in here at this position, once we hit it, it's just boom, you hit it, you swing into the forward catcher's mitt and up the tree. So what exactly is preloaded heavy right? Now, the biggest thing I see a lot of folks get into is they think preloaded heavy right is actually kind of doing this. They get in here and they push their hips forward. Well, now I have a nice tilt to my body, but most of my body is ahead of the ball, not behind it. Preloaded heavy right is if you just stand up here dead straight, you just grab, I like to say sometimes, just grab your belt and just take yourself in here and just pick you up and just take you away from what would be dead center of your body right here, and just go like that and sit on your right leg. Boom, you could actually pick your foot up real quick. Now, I've had tons of people at golf schools, and they're in a position something like this, and I say, okay, you preloaded heavy right? Yeah, I'm behind the ball. I said, okay, close your eyes and draw a line from the center of your neck, the top of your sternum, down to the ground. All right? And when you got that line, I just want you to close your eyes, and I want you to decide which way can you move yourself from this line to the ground, 1 inch forward and pick the back foot up, or 1 inch back and pick the forward foot up. And most people are like this, so they're going like, holy cow, I'm on my left side. When we get them back here, they go like that, and there's preloaded heavy right. So it's almost like we're playing golf always slightly uphill. One way that you could probably do that would be maybe get about a 1/2 inch board, put it under your foot, and just stand here like that, and there's your little bit of preloaded heavy right. Now, the backyard here is a little uneven, and it's sloping this way, so it's pretty hard for you to see on the camera, but if I was standing this way and the camera was right there, you would see that if I stood with the slope, I would be preloaded heavy left. But if I stood this way and the camera's there, you could see that I would look a little bit more heavy right if I even tried to stay neutral with the slope. All right, and that's what we got. We just want to play kind of like a little bit uphill is the place to be. And so when you're on that right leg, the key to knowing you're preloaded heavy right is you should feel weight into your kneecaps, all the way up from the back of your knee, all the way up to your back of your legs here, and up to your top of your hip, right, the belt line over here. You should feel that you're on it, and that way when you have that flexation in your knees. So when you turn, in reality, what should happen is as you turn and you load what I call over and onto a back flex knee and leg, you should actually sit or sink a little bit. You should go down. And now if you go down, now you can push up, right? So if I do it for this view, and I turn and I come in here, I should sink a little bit. My head might only be dropping a minute amount, but I sink, and then what happens is when I do ring the bell and bump, when I come in here, what happens? I'm down, so now I can push off. But most of the people in the world play golf, and because their weight's forward, and as they start turning, their weight gets on their left side, the weight goes forward, the back leg straightens, and it goes up. And many golfers straighten, they just straighten because if you take too much turn, as long as your leg stays attached to your hip, if you turn your hip more than about 30 degrees, as long as that leg stays attached into the hip and you turn the hip and shoulders a lot, the leg's going to straighten up on its own. It's going to get pulled back by the attachment in the hip. So therefore, that's one of the reasons why you can't take a big turn, because too much turn of the shoulders and the hips is going to straighten your leg, push your body forward, and it tends to stand you up. And then that way, once it comes back out, at some point it's going to collapse down, and then you can start hitting the ball everywhere, chunky to thins, rights to lefts, and tops and chops and everything. So you must keep your knees level. Your knees are your levelers and your stabilizers. And we maintain that levelness and stability with the wide knees, outward pressure. And I came up with a new statement a while back. I call it the knees of the bees. If you move your knees too much, you're going to get stung. All right? So we want to be quiet, turn, and load into that right side. So if you got preloaded heavy right, you should feel the weight running through the center or inside center of your foot from the toe all the way to the heel. You're on it. If you close your eyes and move 1 inch like that, you could briefly pick your left foot up or your forward foot up off the ground. That's when you're preloaded heavy right. And that's a great test, because I think most of you get in here, you think you might be there, but you could go like that and pick that foot up. You're really not preloaded right, you're preloaded forward or left if you're a right-hander, okay? So preloaded heavy right is critical. Have us loaded, we get that load into the right leg, your leg will compress, it'll receive the weight, and if it's received it, it can push off. You got to be on it to be able to push off into your finish. And to get that, so when you ring the bell and hit the and ring the bell and hit the do the bump, if you've loaded your right leg, you can push right off and get to that nice T finish so that you can hit a more solid straight and start shooting those lower scores. That's it for the search for today on Preloaded Heavy Right, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.